Catus Maximus here, this time with a video of my top 5 favorite classic quarter-inch drive ratchets to finish out that my odd little top 5 series. To tell you the truth, I thought I had a few more vintage ratchets in each drive size, but as a collector, sometimes you get confused. It would be more overall between all the different drive sizes. So, as with the half-inch one, I did pick up one of the oil port East Coast style Craftsman. These are really, once again, the only Craftsmans that I'll end up buying, really, just because they're so super solid. Once again, snap rings, individual snap rings holding in the switch, as well as this bottom plate. It's a very thick machine support collar there. The anvil isn't the tightest, actually, on this quarter-inch, but generally speaking, these ratchets are pretty tight. And they always have a nice, strong, quick-release detent spring. You can get them in non-quick release as well. But these are the ones with the nice switches that just don't break on you. Very heavy-duty East Coast versions. I did select this Powercraft 100 series because the hand tools, at least from Montgomery Ward, and particularly the 100 series, were in during the era where they were competing with Craftsman. I think many times they were actually better than Craftsman. But it was one of the only other real, I would say, serious competition that Craftsman had during the build-up of the Craftsman era, say through the 60s through, say, the 80s. A lot of this, the Montgomery Ward power tools were not, generally speaking, as good as their Powercraft hand tools, but the Powercraft stuff is actually, it's not that easy to find. Montgomery Ward just did not sell anywhere near the amounts that Sears sold to Craftsman's, but they are pretty nice. I do have an open pair head ratchet. This happens to be a Thorson 77M, and I like it. It's when you get these open head ratchets in the quarter-inch size, not only are they pretty small even compared to their other contemporary counterparts here, the Thorsons did have a nice design with their chamfer corners. They round the edge on the reverse switch. It's a little easier to use. These things are just reliable, and they're lightweight. So it's real easy to loosen up a fastener and then whip it around pretty quickly. We'll move on to a very old, actually a pretty vintage Williams Super Ratchet. This, I believe, was before Williams was owned by Snap-on, and that's what Williams ended up getting bought out by Snap-on. The fit and finish isn't great, like the handle's a little bit cantered. Just isn't super well centered. But it is a reliable ratchet. It is a Williams that uses a batwing style design. Kind of an interesting reverse switch here. I don't know if this pin is original or if it's not. To tell you the truth, this ratchet definitely seems in use, coarse, but definitely just been a nice reliable unit. The worst thing about these old Williams is this: they use a threaded pin drive collar, and it's actually quite a hassle to rebuild these ratchets. But even this old Williams actually has a very surprisingly tight anvil. And that should be a quick warning about this. If you find one of these that's really rusted, it could be very difficult to remove that. And there's a reason no other manufacturer used threaded collars. Even something like this East Coast Craftsman, they use a snap ring because of the way the threads can corrode and get locked up, as well as in particular situations where they don't want to hold, and you have to put in thread locker if those fall apart. And then, of course, Cal, which is like an interesting kind of contract tool manufacturer. There's actually quite a few tool manufacturers over the decades in the United States, I assume, and lots of other places around the world, where there are tool companies that come about to serve military contracts, government contracts, and they do have some retail products. One of them would be like Ivy Tools that comes to mind, where as a consumer, you really just don't ever see them because they operate in the commercial space. Cal is one of those tools. Some of them were made in the United States, some of them were made in Japan, but they were actually surprisingly nice tools. I did put a snap ring on here so this anvil would be a little bit tighter, but I've done a little review of this one. This is one of the things you kind of know about those oddball contract tools is we know that it's a Cal USA, but if we look, there is no model number. I mean, all these tools all have some kind of part number on them just because, they're a retail tool, so you can, know what you ended up buying. Even this Williams, there's the model number for it. So that's how you know is these are these oddball ones which have no model number on them. But this thing is actually has an extra thick wall. It uses a twin pawl design, like a rocking pawl, like an SK, but it's just surprisingly well built. That's a steel reverse lever, not a cast zinc. And with the dual pawls, it's an extremely overbuilt 1/4 inch ratchet. And I think Cal, I mean, it must have been 30 years ago or something. Maybe it's somewhere in the 90s is when they stopped making tools. Their name is still around, but they're not really a tool company anymore. Anyway, that was my top 5 favorite classic 1/4 inch ratchets. Maybe I'll do an update to my ratchet review and comparison videos, but instead of dry size, I may just do like a round head ratchets, just overall, just to compare a bunch of different round head ratchets, and then do the same for pair head ratchets. And why not? If I'm going to do a bunch of other videos like that, I should just do my probably my top 10 favorite ratchets overall. Anyway, then I'll get over doing ratchet videos for a long time. Anyway, really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus Maximus out.